I'm here. Yeah.
Ready? Okay, let's rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please continue to stand as we have a moment of silence for our veterans. Is Reverend Rick here tonight? Oh, okay, could you please do the invocation for us?
Father, as we stand before you today, Lord, we're asking your presence here by your Spirit. Father, we pray, Lord God, that everything that's said and done will be according to your will. We pray, Father, for peace. We pray, Father God, for your blessing. We also pray for our country, Father, that's going through so much right now. And Father, we ask, Lord, that this country would be united again as it once was. We pray, Father, for our police officers, Lord, that can keep us protected. And Lord, we just ask that, Father God, that your every loving arms would just be around each and every one. There's certain people here who are sick, who have relatives who are ill. We pray, Father, your healing upon them. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Christine Adamczak.
Here.
Councilmember Linda Hammer. Councilmember Michael Jazinski.
Excused.
Councilmember Gerald Kaminsky. Councilmember Brian Noah.
Present.
Councilmember Brian Pilarski.
Excused.
And Supervisor Diane Benchkowski.
Here. Okay, so we have 5 present tonight. Tonight we have a nice recognition that our Director of Youth and Rec is here to present to some of our very dedicated workers.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for letting us do this. We'll be quick so you can get back to your business. But first, introduce us. We are the Cheektowaga Youth Foundation. We have been here for many years, giving out these awards. Haven't seen everyone in 2 years, so we're very happy to do it this year. But we are here for the families of Cheektowaga, for the youth, and we are very excited to award 2 groups today who have made a huge impact in our community. Now, I apologize, it's after 4 o'clock, so my public speaking, I have to read it right from the script. But I could like to introduce the Depew Lancaster Boys and Girls Club to stand with us, please.
Okay, let's go, Mama.
Thank you. The Depew Lancaster Boys and Girls Club, they are the parent group who were instrumental in bringing the Boys and Girls Club to Cheektowaga. Through the work of the club directors, David Hoke and Jeff Kupka, the Cheektowaga Boys and Girls Club opened its doors in September 2021. Since then, over 50 kids from our community have a safe place to play and learn after school every day. Due to the regulations established by the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Cheektowaga Club needed to partner with an existing club. The leadership of Depew Lancaster Boys and Girls Club never hesitated to get involved and worked hard to make the Cheektowaga Club a reality. We are happy to reward the Depew and Lancaster Boys and Girls Club with the Service to Youth Award. And next, please, if the Cheektowaga Yes Group could join us. The Cheektowaga Yes Group, with the leadership of Alicia Hark and her group of volunteers, the Yes Group has done great work for their community. This past year, they hosted craft nights and build creations during Lego Club at the Cheektowaga Libraries, created favors that are added to trays for Meals on Wheels recipients, assist with seasonal youth and recreation department events like the Spaghetti with Santa, Family Dingus Day Craft Night, and lots more, packed groceries for families in need at St. Stephen's Food Pantry, and cooked meals for families with loved ones in the hospital who are staying at Grace Guest House. We are very happy to award your group the Youth in Service Award. Well, thank you again all for letting us share this happy moment in our community. We are always here if you need us. You can talk to the Youth and Recreation Direction if you need to contact us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and congratulations to all the recipients. Thank you for moving that for us. I'll move on to the public comment period. This is an opportunity for residents to comment on items appearing on the agenda of the town board meeting tonight. The public comment period should last 15 minutes maximum. Each speaker may speak only once, and each speaker shall be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes speaking time. Okay, no one has signed up to speak, so we will move on to our public hearings, right? No.
We have a few public few public hearings today. One is a call for public hearing is made at the June 30th Town Board meeting, resolution number 2022-376 to amend the Vehicle and Traffic Ordinance Section 32534. Residents were requested to come in person or send comments to Town Clerk webmail. All comments were to be forwarded to the Town Board members for consideration and added to the final record. I have received no comments based on the traffic ordinance.
Okay, and I just want to remind everyone that speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Our first speaker is Dawn Filipski.
Hi, everybody. This is in regards to Raleigh Hollow, where you want to put no parking signs up. I'm in agreement with it. It's on a curve. The only thing I wanted to come and publicly say was that to read about it in the minutes and not get a notice, and I mean, I live diagonal to that,
Right.
Was a little shocking, and I didn't see it in the town of Cheektowaga, news thing. And one would think that I am in such close proximity, I would have been phone called, I would have been talked to, and if when you do that, I get that you have to count it off as so many feet. I do not have a ruler to go from the end of Raleigh or Deer Trail where it meets Raleigh Hollow to see how far 300 and some feet is to figure out the next 100 feet where it's going to be no parking. My best guess is it's on the curve, and I'm pretty sure you probably didn't notify the resident whose property is going to get placed with signs, and they don't speak English. So somebody might want to reach out to let people know versus just showing up. But I am in favor of it, basically. People come around that corner way too
You
fast.
brought up some good points. Thank you, Don. Okay, anyone else before we close this public hearing? Any board members? Okay, I'll call this public hearing to a close, and we'll move on to the next one.
A call for public hearing was made at the June 30th Town Board meeting, Resolution 2022-377, to consider the application of Legacy Building Company for a rezoning of 6.05 acres at 100 McKesson Parkway from C Residential Business District to RA Apartment Districts. Residents were requested to come in person or to send comments to the town clerk webmail. All comments would be forwarded to town board members for consideration and added to the final record.
Okay, so Sean is here tonight on behalf of the developer.
I am.
So you will have longer than 3 minutes.
I'll
So
try and be brief.
do you have anything to put up on the screen?
I do. I believe Kim will pull up my
Okay.
PowerPoint presentation. Yes, so good evening. Sean Hopkins of the law firm of Hopkins, Storage and McCarthy on behalf of the applicant Legacy Building Company. Also with me is Jason Utzig, the project engineer from CNS Engineers. We're here this evening in connection with the request to amend the zoning classification of the property located at McKesson Parkway. I do want to note that I gave everyone a copy of the PowerPoint presentation that I prepared, and we're not expecting a decision to be issued on this rezoning tonight. The site itself is approximately 6.1 acres in size. Want to go next slide, Kim? You'll see where it is on an aerial photograph, and obviously we're directly adjacent to the Galleria Mall property. McKesson Parkway is currently a dead end that terminates at Union Drive. What we're proposing is a multifamily project. The current zoning of that particular property is C Retail Business District. In order to accommodate the proposed project, we would need RA Apartment District. You want to go to the next slide, Kim? This is a copy of the zoning map of the town of Cheektowaga. You can see where we're located, not surprisingly, given the nature of how close we are to the Galleria Mall, in that area that's zoned red or zoned commercial. Next slide.
Can you point that out for everyone?
Sure.
Where, oh, I see it. You can barely see the yellow arrow.
It's tough to see on the whole zoning map, but it's here. That's the school property on the side of the creek.
Okay, thank you. Linda, you do.
Are you asking that the whole area in red there be rezoned?
No, only the particular
Just where
parcel.
okay.
Yeah. Obviously, the Galleria Mall will remain the zoning that's in place.
Okay,
C1.
thank you.
You want to go to the next slide, Kim? That's simply to show you a survey. Obviously, it is important to note directly south of McKesson Parkway is Kajakawa Creek. There is a floodway and flood zone associated with that. No impacts whatsoever. We're going to stay away from those areas and stay out of the regulations that would be associated. Next slide. So this is a concept plan that we've prepared in connection with the submission of the rezoning application. It's important to note that this is conceptual at this point in time, meaning we have to develop fully engineered plans. There's got to be some further discussions with the mall who we're purchasing the property from, and then obviously it'll come back in front of you at a future date in connection with a request for site plan approval. What we're currently showing is 2 5-story buildings totaling 340 units. We're showing 340 parking spaces. One of the things we are considering is possibly adding parking within the building, maybe on 1 or 2 floors, so that's something to be worked out as we move forward. We're showing about 38% green space and landscaping versus the 15% required. And as I indicated, the layout of this project will be refined further once we get to the site plan review process. Next slide. Perhaps what's most important in connection with this rezoning is the fact that the town of Cheektowaga, to its credit, has given consideration to planning objectives to be established for those properties in close proximity to the mall. Not surprising. We're seeing this throughout communities in Western New York, throughout the state, in fact, throughout the country. Specifically, page 52 of the comprehensive plan that you adopted in 2021 establishes what's known as a Galleria Thruway area. And the boundaries of that are highlighted in yellow. And you can see where our parcel fits, right here on McKesson Parkway. And you've established some planning objectives for that area. And I think that was in furtherance of encouraging redevelopment. Go to the next slide. So some of those policy objectives that you've established is, number one, that obviously malls are changing. The nature of malls are changing. could use some residential development around malls, create more of a mixed-use environment. And again, to your credit, you've done that. It also recognizes that a lot of those trends have been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, and that's right on page 52. And then finally, your comprehensive plan does encourage the adoption of standards and the creation of incentives to encourage, number one, density, which we have, and number two, to allow taller buildings. The current zoning in Cheektowaga only allows a building height of 35 feet, so we would need a variance for that aspect of the project, and we've disclosed that right from the get-go. I want to go to the next slide. So not only does this project involve a request to amend the zoning classification of the project site, obviously because it requires a discretionary approval, seeker is triggered. This project is a type 1 action pursuant to seeker because it does exceed 250 residential units. The town of Cheektowaga, as it always does, has issued a lead agency letter. None of the agencies who responded prior to the deadline on June 6th expressed any concerns with this board being the lead agency or substantive comments suggesting there may be potentially significant adverse environmental impacts. Next slide. We did present this project to the EAC initially during its meeting on May 25th. It recommended that you schedule a public hearing. At a future date, we'll be asking if they recommend the issuance of a negative declaration by this board. And ultimately, that decision will be made by you as the lead agency. Next slide. I do want to note we've done our homework in connection with the environmental review. This is a copy of the no impact letter issued by the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation on May 19th. Next slide. We also did have a wetland delineation conducted by Scott Livingston of Earth Dimensions, and thankfully there are no wetlands subject to the jurisdiction of either the United States Army Corps of Engineers or the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation on this particular site, which is good news for us. Next slide. And then finally, I want to note we're well aware of all the technical requirements in terms of stormwater, sewer, et cetera, et cetera. All of that detailed information will come in the future in connection with the request for site plan approval. Mr. Bowen and his staff at the engineering department will need to review and approve those plans prior to commencement of any construction activities and approval of a future site plan application by this board. Overall, we think it's important to highlight a couple of things. Number one, again, we think this is consistent with the comprehensive plan. And again, you had a lot of foresight in establishing that district associated with the mall. Number two, we really think it's an appropriate infill site. It's kind of awkward now if you drive by that site, you see it as vacant land, which should be developed, and you're like, well, what's going on? And then third, from a fiscal perspective, which is always important to any municipality in West New York, this will definitely be positive. We're not seeking any incentives or pilot from the Erie County IDA. So in the end, you're going to generate hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxes, not only for the town, but also the county and the school district on an annual basis. So with that being said, while we're not asking for a decision this evening, we would ask that you schedule a decision date for a meeting in August. Hopefully the EAC will recommend the issuance of a negative declaration later this month. That'll allow us then to move to the next stage, which is to seek variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and then follow that up with the filing of a site plan application with fully engineered plans, architectural plans, et cetera, et cetera. I do want to note one other aspect that I failed to mention. Early in the process, the question came up, well, 5-story buildings are taller. Is there any concerns about proximity to the airport? There is a letter that was generated by the FAA stating no, we're not in the flight zone or in that area where they regulate building height. If there's any questions, I would welcome the opportunity to address them. Otherwise, I do want to thank you for providing me with this opportunity to give a presentation. Yes, Councilman Monroe.
Yeah, 2 questions. In the slideshow here, you talk about the school districts. I know letters went out to them. Did you receive a response yet? I'm not aware of a response.
No, so based on the EAC meeting in April, Nick Coltrard did send copies of the lead agency letters to both school districts on May 26th. I'm not aware of specific responses being received.
The other question had to do with stormwater storage. When I was looking through documents, I saw something about stormwater being stored underground.
Yes.
Is that the case?
Yes.
How exactly does that work in brief?
So obviously, picture a typical Wegmans parking lot where the land is so valuable that you generally don't put a pond. You have these large detention facilities underground, fully engineered, stormwater quality. They hold the water at a controlled rate and then discharge it gradually. And those have to be designed to handle a 100-year storm. Pat would give you a more detailed explanation, but basically that's it.
I have a question.
Sure.
So it's not senior housing, it's
No.
just regular apartments?
It's envisioned right now that it will be market rate housing. Obviously, there's a tremendous number of employees in that immediate area, so we are gonna target that market, obviously. And we do feel that really is a demand for new multifamily housing at an excellent infill location in the town of Cheektowaga. And I think you're seeing that over time. Again, because this board and some of your departments have really had some foresight in allowing these types of projects to go forward, I think over the past couple of years, the town of Cheektowaga has done a great job in having some new projects brought to the town.
How many bedrooms in each?
With 340 units, we haven't done a breakdown of the units. I would think currently primarily 2-bedroom, and then there would also be some 1-bedroom, and I know Councilmember Nowak's always interested, hopefully some 3-bedroom as well.
I'm usually for the 1 or 2
Right.
bedrooms, just,
So we have interest on all 3.
well, it's just because we don't want to squeeze a lot of
Right.
people in a small amount of space.
Right.
How big are the apartments?
Not determined yet,
Yeah.
but if I had to guess, I would say we'll probably have some smaller units that may go down to 750 square feet. They
Yeah,
could go
that's what I mean.
all the way up to 1,300, 1,400, 1,500. Again, once we get to that stage, when we come back for site plan approval, we'll know the specifics.
Okay. Anybody else? Any board members? Okay, I'm gonna go to the public, to.
Thank you.
Supervisor, I do have one comment that was received.
Okay, go ahead, town clerk.
I received a correspondence from Operations Manager of Granger. Granger supports the economic development within the community. However, we have some concerns regarding the proposed rezoning of the adjacent property from commercial to residential. Past experience has shown that this sometimes creates incompatibility due to truck deliveries occurring overnight and early mornings, trucks loading and unloading at all hours, safety signal noise from trucks during reverse, and trespassing upon property, which can create safety issues, especially with truck traffic. Please consider this upon your review.
And Kim, if you would forward me a copy of that, I'll follow up with them. No, thank you. I know you'll provide a copy.
Okay, Teresa Muniz Lopez.
Good evening, thank you. Yes, that email was for me, and I felt it was important to make presence as well. So while we try to be as good of a neighbor as we can, it's really important that we actually bring up the concerns that we have. We are a company that, our motto is we keep the world working, we're big on safety, and it is very crucial that we don't have our business in any way interrupted. We provide service to all facets, but primarily commercial, government, military, immediately in the area, but also out of Western New York in general and beyond that. So past experiences, like you read, has shown that it has been incompatible. We do have concerns where we have overnight trucks. There is no set time. Trucks can come in the middle of the night because that product is crucial to the area and all businesses, which could include hospitals and schools and such. So other areas of concern would be, like you mentioned, the trespassing. With the trucks in and out, not just throughout the day, but also in the middle of the night. That would be a big concern for us. And also the noise, where the trucks are backing up, as you mentioned as well. So while, again, we try to be a good neighbor, that is a big concern for us. Thank you.
Could I, you don't have your address on here? We need-
Yes, I can provide that for you.
Could you please, provide your address so we have that too. Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion to close the hearing, or do you want to keep it open for a little bit? Is it okay then? All right, Linda's going to make the motion to close it, and Councilmember Nowak, are you okay with that then? Or do you want to keep it open?
And 2 more weeks, I mean, considering the comment that we got, I'd be okay with 2 more weeks and close it after
Yeah,
that.
Sean, we're going to have to keep it open a little, just to make sure everybody has a chance to.
That would be fine.
Because people are on vacation, with the 4th of July and all
Okay.
that, so
That would be fine.
we'll keep that open and bring it back to the next meeting, okay? Madam Clerk.
Public hearing number 3, a call for public hearing was made at the June 30th Town Board meeting, Resolution 2022-378, to consider the application of Empire One Federal Credit Union. There is a rezoning of approximate .18 acres located at 1491 Harlem Road from residential district to C retail business district, and to rezone approximately .09 acres located at 2333 William Street from residential district to C retail business district. Residents were requested to come in person or to send comments to Town Clerk Webmail. All comments would be forwarded to the Town Board members for consideration and added to the final record.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. I'm Lori Hauer-LaDuca, the architect for Empire One.
Can you just speak up a little
I'm
bit
sorry.
because we're on YouTube live streaming and
I'm Lori Hauer-LaDuca, architect for Empire One Credit Union, and with me is Jason Utzik from CNS Engineers, who is doing our civil plans. I don't know if you have the drawings. They were sent over. I think the first one's a survey.
Is this mine? Jerry, is this mine?
Okay. So our project entails utilizing 3 parcels and combining them into one to create the new site for the Empire One Credit Union. It includes 1491 Harlem, 2333 William, and 2345 William. Our first request for this evening for the public hearing is to look at 1491 Harlem, which is currently a residential zoning and would have to be rezoned to C. And then part of, like 0.9 acres of the corner parcel 2333 William is also residential, and that would have to be changed to C, so that the entire combined 3 parcels would be zoned properly for the branch. Go to the next picture. Thank you. So this is our current site plan, and you can see the combined site. The building is a 1-story building. It is justified closest to Harlem with the new master plan objective to have a building be a little bit closer to the road, a little more of a walking experience, a little more of the pedestrian feel. Our front setback on William is per the 50 feet back per the zoning ordinance. We have 2 entrances, one off of Harlem and one to Chrisfield. And that was a change from the original site where we had an exit onto William. But after receiving the DOT comments on what they require for apron size, et cetera, it would have required relocation of power poles and so forth. So this is our latest version where with the Harlem Road and the Chrisfield exit. Originally, traffic study looked at the version where we exited onto William and they had no issue. They only requested that the pedestrian walks be connected to the pedestrian walks along the street, so we have done that. We asked to have it sent back at the last EAC meeting to just have them look at this again, just to make sure they're okay with exiting onto Chrisfield. DOT didn't have an issue with any of the plans except to say that we needed this very wide apron and thus the change to the other location on Chrisfield. There are no variances needed for this project. The only other thing we need tonight is also the special exception use for our drive-up canopy. This will feature a dedicated lane for a night deposit and ATM, and the second lane is for teller service. The bank, basically, we asked about traffic flow in case that was a concern, and at their other location, it's pretty light actually. It's 9 cars per hour, and that was during COVID when their branch was closed and people could only use the drive-up service. So it's really not anticipated to be much of a congestion related to that. Regarding any lighting concerns, we are very aware of people's worries about light pollution and so forth. All lights are downward facing and would not be projected towards any the neighboring residences. I don't know if you want to speak to that at all, Jason.
Yeah, just in regard to the lighting, it'll be fully designed once we submit the site plans, the fully engineered site plans, but it'll be in compliance with the town's requirements.
Okay.
There's a couple more views of the building. It's sort of an aerial view. The materials are stone, cementitious siding, and some metal panel, all of which are used on their other building on Orchard Park Road, trying to bring sort of some of that branding to this corner and using a little bit more of a modern feel with some of the architectural details, but trying to keep it as pedestrian friendly as possible. Are there any questions on it?
Yes, I do have a couple. Are you done?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I had to pull up my own map because I had a hard time visualizing where this is. So you're right next door to an open vacant lot on the corner of William and Harlem, correct?
Yeah, so we are,
But what-
William and Harlem, the corner itself is 2333 William.
Okay.
And then my client would be purchasing 2345 William, which currently has a building on it, and that would be taken down. So that's the corner of William and Chrisfield. And then in the southerly direction is 1491 Harlem that we're seeking rezone for, which is vacant right now.
Okay. And
So this is, you're looking at the southeast corner, basically.
it's a beautiful building, and you know what? We do need something over there. It's just such a dead zone, so I would like to see something nice like this, so you don't really anticipate a lot of traffic.
Right. No, they have 3 people working, and canopy-wise, I know that's the concern for car stacking. They would never utilize what typically is needed for car stacking for such as like a Tim Hortons or something like that. So,
So is that facing,
so this face is facing William. So we have a covered walkway to the parking towards the left is going towards.
and where's
Chrisfield.
Harlem then?
Harlem is here.
Okay. So you're taking those, okay, now it makes sense.
Right, so that's the whole.
So that's
the
why
whole
you
thing.
said it would have to come out of Chrisfield, the
Yes,
driveway.
because it was originally on William, and when we laid it out, the splay of the apron for a DOT drive is 19 feet in both sides, and it took out a couple of power poles, so it became very costly. So we tried to just keep it simple and have it exit onto Chrisfield. So you have a Harlem exit and a Chrisfield exit entrance.
Okay, so I guess I'd have to hear what the residents want to say about that, but it looks like a good project. Any other comments from council members?
I'll wait till it goes before EAC.
Well, I think the biggest thing, because there was always kind of dead zone, Staho's used to be there, the card shop has been closed for I don't know how long. That to me is a 150% improvement.
I agree.
Thank you.
Linda? And Brian? Okay.
Supervisor, I do have one comment. A resident.
Wait, hold on one second. Did
Oh,
you
I'm
want?
sorry.
Oh, Chris, Councilmember Adam Zach wanted us to comment, sorry.
That's okay. I just have a
You're
quick,
small here on a, real small.
I just have a question. Supervisor, I heard that you asked what side of William it was on?
Yeah.
Is that on the corner of William and Harlem?
Yes, but
Yes.
it's not, it's across from Hot Dog Heaven, I believe.
Okay,
Right aid is across.
And Rite
Harlem.
Aid
Rite
is
Aid
across on the other corner.
on the other corner. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
I did receive one comment from a resident on Linden Street, and they said that, from what they can see, it's not on their side of William Street, but they have no problem with the credit union, and they think it would be an improvement to the empty building and space that is there.
That's it?
Thank you very much.
All right, we do have a few public comments that you might have to answer.
Okay.
So each speaker will have 3 minutes. The first one is Brian at 282. There you go, okay. I would need, oh, you do have your address on here? Okay.
Yeah, 282 Crystal.
Go ahead.
So I'm the person who lives in the house that's being surrounded by this property, okay? The north side, south side, and west side, these people own them, okay? And I face west, okay, on Chrisfield, okay? I have 8 neighbors of mine. I have requested them to come to this meeting because we positively, absolutely want no entrance or exit on Chrisfield. It's, the bar has been closed. We have a safe environment for the children. We don't need the lights coming up and down into people's houses. And my house is part of this alleyway stone parking lot to the south of this property. And that comes from Harlem to Chrisfield. And it's used by people to cut through. It's not used by the bar anymore. We put up cones trying to slow down traffic. They move them, okay? People have grandparents have grandkids. I have grandkids. People are riding bikes up and down. This neighborhood 4 years ago lost all of the businesses around us. The card shop's been closed for years, okay? I don't think we have a problem using the card shop entryway at the corner. My concern is the vacant parking lot south of my property that attaches to this property. I would like to request it to be closed off access to Chrisfield. Otherwise, I love the design, not a problem. I think it's great for the neighborhood, but putting an entryway in between 2 residential houses is not proper.
So
It
where
got
is your
done.
house though here? I can't picture.
If you show me where Chrisfield is,
Hmm.
and this is William, right? Okay, this is Chrisfield.
Yes.
I'm right there. I'm right behind you.
Yeah, so that'll be vacant though, right? Are you,
This would be the old card shop.
yes. So then it's vacant between you and the drive.
Yeah, but where this alleyway is, there's an alleyway, an old parking lot, I think, a gravel parking lot that Frank built the bar back in the 60s. And it comes off of Harlem, and it comes right over to Chrisfield. I have no objection of the one that's owned by William. The old card shop is safe enough that nobody goes down it. But we have residential houses. That's our concern. My other one, this fellow, he addressed, I guess, okay. North on that diagram, on my house, is my bedrooms, okay? And it looks like a lot of green space, parking areas and stuff. And he's saying it's gonna be direct lighting. I'm asking for shields. I do not want parking lot lights going into my bedroom. Nobody's addressed the dumpster. I'd like to know where a dumpster's gonna be. I do not want it by my bedroom. They got parcels of land that they're gonna own. I know Benderson owned it. I don't know if they're leasing it. I don't know if they're owning it. But there's plenty of room to work with us neighbors, is what I'm asking. Consideration.
Oh, okay, I don't know why the timer didn't go off, but yeah, 3 minutes are up,
I
but
got it.
we got what you're saying, and we'll, go ahead. Can you come to the microphone?
My client is buying 2 properties from Benderson and one from the people that own the corner at Chrisfield and William. So
The card shop people.
yes. So Benderson owns 1491 Harlem and 2333 William. So I don't know if you want to put the site plan back up, if you would. So we've made a great effort to keep any foliage that's already there. If you'll notice, there's a really giant tree in the corner that we're saving, and we're planting quite a few new trees to help be a green buffer between the residences, because I can totally appreciate that concern. Jason, I don't know if you have the landscape plan there, but the whole boundary line is going to be planted, and all of the lights are downward facing so that there is no glare, which I understand is a concern as well. don't know if you can face it to the gentleman so he can see.
All right, could you, by any chance, go by that microphone so the audience can hear you?
Sure, I just want to get my Williams.
That's Chris
So
Fields.
here's Chris from the house. Right.
So we're going to be proposing landscaping all along.
And what I'm proposing, what I'm asking, is there's an alleyway, a parking lot, stone gravel parking.
That's not our property.
You guys have nothing to do with
I have nothing to
that.
do with that. I can't control it. I'm not Benderson.
I'm not sure, is what I'm asking.
Yes.
Because it's all part of this parcel.
These are separate parcels.
Right. Actually, there's a house there now, isn't there?
There's
Yeah.
a house right there.
Yeah. We
And
don't-
then there's a drive coming into your property,
Okay.
right by this house, into these trees. On
Okay, I'm going to have to kind of, we have to go, move on. It's a public hearing, but I think if you want to have an appointment, then they can meet with you. And I'm sure you'll meet with the residents, just to make sure all their questions are answered. I have to move on to Lori,
That's me.
okay, and then Jason?
Yes, Jason.
All right. Okay, is it Noreen? Nona, okay, Nona, you're next.
Good evening. Last minute, as we were coming here, one of our new residents who bought a house about a year ago gave me this letter, and he asked me to read it.
Okay,
I live actually in 278 Chrisfield Avenue. This letter is from the new resident who is at 279 Chrisfield Avenue. And I will
279?
leave it.
Yeah,
I
so
will leave
is
it
there a
with
way you can give that to me afterwards?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes, yeah. Sorry, I just had recently allergies in my voices.
That's all right, take your time.
Okay. To whom it may concern, I'm writing to inform you of my opposition to the rezoning of the property 2345 William Street across from my home. I purchased my home approximately 1 year ago and already have issues with how much traffic comes down this road from the businesses around the corner on William Street. As I live within few houses of William, backing out of my driveway is already challenging, and there is not a lot of time to react to cars coming down the street. If the lot across from me becomes a business, that will only compound the matters. Admittedly, Chrisfield Avenue is not a high-end neighborhood. However, as residents, we would want the same respect as residents would receive that live on Countryside Lane or Brookledge, wouldn't we? I'm not thinking that those residents would want to tolerate an extra traffic, the noise, the congestion that would be associated with the businesses, especially when there's already a limited amount of parking spaces on a street, like we have on Chrisfield. I strongly oppose this rezoning. Sincerely, Matthew Paderski, 279.
And what is his address?
279.
279? Okay. Thank you.
This is from the neighbor.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll give this to the town clerk.
And also, I want to say from myself, because I would be on at 278 Chrisfield Avenue, we were so happy when finally the bikers and bar was gone. And my windows, kitchen windows, are facing right directly that corner that is going to be built, which could be a nice site.
It's better than the card shop.
Absolutely, I know.
And it's all green space.
know,
That's
but-
my opinion, but,
But you know, the concern is, as a realtor, full-time realtor for 20 years, I know how difficult it is to sell the residential house when there is a commercial property. And our all concern is that it definitely diminishes the value of our homes, especially if
Yes.
you have cars coming in and out, not to talk about blinding lights and noise and whoever could suddenly appear to be.
okay, your
That's
3
my
minutes
time.
is up, but
Okay.
thank you very much for bringing this to our attention.
Can I speak to that for a second?
Yes, real
Okay, it's
quick,
Laura-
wait,
it's
because
Lori
it's really not a question and answer, it's just a public
I just
hearing.
want to let them know that The hours the credit union are open are 8:30 to 4:30, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Wednesdays 10 to 4:30, and 8:30 to 12 on Saturday. So it really isn't a highly frequented place. And the corner at Chrisfield is going to be quite park-like. We have 2 rows of trees, and there's really no building there. It's going to just be, can you bring the thing back? Really just grass and an exit. There's really less commotion there than what you think, because it is actually a commercially zoned property. It could have something more intense than what we're proposing, because the part that we're rezoning is on Harlem, not William and Chrisfield.
Correct. Right. We have to move on to
Okay.
the next speaker.
Thank you.
Okay. Melissa?
Good evening. First, I'd like to say my comments go to both proposals before you this evening, both for the rezoning and for the special use exception. So first, I'd like to take a moment to comment on this process. Certified letters were delivered to us less than a week ago, which is very short notice, giving travel and work commitments in the first week of July. While there was an opportunity to submit comments via email or in person, there was no detail provided on this project that would impact our neighborhood. I actually made 6 calls and was passed around from person to person to department within the town before I was able to find some preliminary information on the project. And at the same time, this was then framed to me of, well, this is just rezoning. It's not project approval. You don't have to worry about it. And to me, that's just semantics. Rezoning, if a rezoning is approved and the special use is approved, that gives them the runway to then submit their site plans and to move forward. So I think there's an education about how residents are kind of shepherded through the process. And accordingly, I ask that you respectfully consider the totality of the impact of this project on the neighborhood as part of this rezoning and special use request. So I live in this small residential block of homes on Harlem, closest to William, and we already face daily challenges. Traffic during peak rush hour prevents us from getting in and out of our own properties. It takes several turns of the light at William and Harlem before we find a break to exit our properties. If it's not the north-south traffic on Harlem, it's the turns from William that just keep coming at us. Like, that's how it is. Like, you just have to brake, especially in rush hour. And then also we have the Rite Aid traffic that impacts us as well. It's also very challenging because we already have a credit union in that block. And the patrons coming in and out of that credit union rarely yield to us as neighbors. And they probably are experiencing the same frustrations trying to break into traffic, but it's kind of a version of the me first approach. They will cut you off, they will cross multiple lanes of traffic from the Conrail Credit Union, and so we've just kind of learned, or at least I've learned, to just sit back and, like, you know, sometimes you're there multiple turns of the light in a length of time before you can get out. Another thing is with drive-through in the queue, that will only add congestion to the area. And the question is, you know, they say it was only 9 cars an hour during COVID. Well, what does that mean? They have a new location, more people may come. COVID was 2 years ago. That data is very dated at this point. Also, we talk about having access to Chrisfield, and I know what the gentleman was talking about when he's considering an alleyway. It is your parcel. He just maybe misspoke for what you think of as architectural terms or design terms. It is the place where Stahu's was. That was the Stahu's driveway that cut through from Harlem to Chrisfield that people continually cut through today.
So where? With a car?
What?
They cut through how?
With car, yes. It was the Stahu's driveway. So when Stahu's was knocked down, this driveway remains, and Stahu's went from Harlem through Chrisfield. So what he's calling an alleyway was actually the Stahu's driveway. So it's not technically for zoning purposes or what you would consider an alleyway for what he's relating to.
Okay.
So another challenge is our town's desire to keep our strip of homes on Harlem as residential. So as residents, we're becoming hostages in our homes, in our own homes. Besides the egress and ingress issues that I just mentioned, I personally cannot open my front blinds anymore. There's a neon sign with the Conrail Credit Union that currently has flashing lights that come into our homes. And while you say that there's a lighting plan that will be town compliant, the Conrail sign is currently town compliant, but yet it impacts our quality of life. There's also the inconsiderate drivers who blare music, speed, toss trash. It's the mentality that this is a commercial road, and they're oblivious to the fact that their actions degrade our quality of life. And there's also known road issues and road bed issues on Harlem Road, which cause our homes to shake from the weight of tractor, trailer, and truck traffic. And this vibration leads to infrastructure issues within our house. So we also have vehicles that speed and slam on the brakes when they're approaching the light, and all of this impacts our quality of life. So at the same time, the town's increasing our assessments. You're asking us and telling us we have to remain residential, but yet this parcel is becoming commercial and would impact our quality of life. We are not a tree-lined street, and I get that. We are not a quiet neighborhood, but the contradicting approaches to this stretch of Harlem Road by the town is troublesome to me. So therefore, I ask you to reflect on what this request is and how you address our adjoining properties. And if our properties are to remain residential, I ask you to look at this rezoning and special use permit in light of what you are asking our adjoining properties to be as well. Thank you.
Okay, so that was about the rezoning, and we do have another public hearing about the special use permit, correct, Madam Clerk? So I'm going to call the rezoning unless any board member has any comments. Chris, no? Anybody else? Okay,
No,
we'll
I'm
call the
good.
public hearing to a close, and we'll move on to the special use permit.
A call for public hearing was made at the June 30th Town Board meeting, Resolution 2022-379, to consider the application of Empire One Federal Credit Union, the issuance of a special use permit and variances from the accessory drive-through window provisions of the zoning law of the town of Cheektowaga for a new Empire One Credit Union branch proposed at 2345 William Street. Residents were requested to come in person or to send communication to Town Clerk webmail. All comments would be forwarded to the town board members for consideration and added to the final record.
Okay, it looks like we have the same people, but it is a public hearing, so if you want to speak, Brian, did you want to? Okay, and then Lori, you were the presenter.
I just want to add a point regarding the canopy. My client mentioned that they have 9 cars per hour max during COVID because they weren't open on the inside, and the only way the members could come to get to service was to use the drive-through. But COVID is over and people come into the credit union instead, so their traffic to the drive-through itself is not as intense as you would think for a restaurant or something like that, but it's just it's a courtesy for someone that maybe they have their children in the car and they can't come in the building, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to reiterate what I meant by that statement. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And Jason, you all set? And Nona? Okay.
Since we are talking about the credit union, we already live behind one credit union, and ours really don't matter because we have people coming and bringing some garbage into the garbage place behind there. We have people who are coming in the middle of the night to clean it, but then you could hear they are doing whatever in the backyard. It's right behind our fence. All the junk, all the candy wrappers, all kind of stuff comes every day into our property. When we have even holidays and my family wants to have a barbecue out, cookout, or our neighbors, we can't do that because they suddenly start cutting the grass, or they come and they clean up the garbage. And it's on a Father's Day, on Mother's Day, not to mention that we all have allergies. And I talked to one credit union person who is already there. He pushed me out, absolutely disrespectfully. So we don't really own our backyard right now. So now what will happen, it doesn't matter the working hours, because we know that work doesn't stop there. And this beautiful picture of nice roses and plants, once the area is empty, there would be always some cars parked there, there would always be something would be going on, and it would be right in our window, so it would be from another side. So that's why we are really opposed to all that. And I like the comment about raised assessment, but our property going really down with that whole beautiful construction. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I will call this public hearing to a close. And we have one more special use permit for Verizon Wireless.
A call for public hearing was made at the June 30th Town Board meeting, Resolution 2022-380, to consider the application of Verizon Wireless for a special use permit for Verizon Wireless telecommunication facility, which consists of a construction of a 75-foot monopole tower on property leased from the town of Cheektowaga. Residents are requested to come in person or to send comments to Town Clerk Webmail. All comments would be forwarded to the Town Board members for consideration and added to the final record.
And you're Robert?
Yes, good evening. Robert Bergdorf of the law firm Nixon Peabody here tonight on behalf of Verizon Wireless. For the record, also with me tonight is Brad Morgan, project manager from Verizon Wireless, and this is an application for zoning approvals for a wireless telephone communications facility, 75-foot high monopole at 2300 Clinton Street. It looks like you still have a long night ahead of you, so I will abbreviate a lot of this. Verizon Wireless made application via package dated April 18th, 2022. It includes an Exhibit E and RF analysis, which explains the need for the facility, both coverage and capacity. I'm happy to go into that as much as you'd like, but for brevity for now, I'll just keep moving along. As further explained, though, in that package, location is very, very critical to these. Each cell interacts with the surrounding cell, so placement, height, all that's very, very critical. We had originally proposed a site at the OTB, and the town indicated they would prefer that we go here. So the proposed facility, 2300 Clinton, is a 75-foot monopole, and I wish I could put it up on the screen, but hopefully the board has had a chance to review what that looks like from the site plan, and it's pretty straightforward. I'm sure you've seen these. They're basically like a light pole with the antennas on the top. 75 is on the lower side for these facilities. The lot is very narrow. The leased parcel is 80 feet by 80 feet, but we'd like to get the rent to the municipalities when we can, and the town asks us to go on town property, so we're here. We stayed at least 80 feet. We're actually 91 feet to the property line to the east, so more than the 110% requirement of the height of the tower. There's power lines to the east, so we more than clear that with respect to the height and the setback. However, to do that, we're a little further over to the west. We're only 26 feet from the west line. So this particular location would require a waiver from the 110-foot tower height setback to the west from this board as well. Again, all shown on the site plan. Happy to spend time on the site plan if the board would like. Both the planning board and the environmental review committee have reviewed. Both have recommended approval, I understand. I did not see anything come back from county. I do not know, has it gone to county yet? Does anybody?
We do not know. Rick Colburn, are you here, or anybody from his office? No, we don't know.
It's one other procedural before this board can make its decision. It needs to go.
Hold on, Pat Bowen, do you know anything about that?
Not that I recall.
Oh, there's Stan Young. Okay, he's our town planner or assistant planner.
So what was the question? I didn't quite
Could you
fully-
please ask that question again?
Yeah, the one other requirement prior to moving on to any substantive approval is that this needs to be referred to the county planning department pursuant to General Municipal Law 239M within 30 days. I don't know if that's been done. We haven't gotten any notice directly from the county, but sometimes it goes directly to the municipality. So try to check that box, make sure the county has done it.
Yeah, my understanding at this time is it was submitted to the county, and there was no comment. From
Can
the
you
county.
just speak in the microphone, Dan,
At
because
this
I can't
time-
hear you.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, it was submitted to the county through the 239M process, and there has been no comment received. I will double check that process tomorrow, to ensure that and relay any information that needs to be relayed, but at this time, no comment has been received.
Do you know when it was submitted?
I do not know offhand.
We go more than 30 days.
Again, I don't know offhand. I don't have that information in front of me, unfortunately.
The county's had it at least 30 days, and it's considered, deemed a recommended approval. By the way, we did not pay him to say, "Can you hear me now?" That was.
Oh.
So with the understanding that either 30 days is elapsed from county, or we get that back, that procedural item needs to be checked off. And then what's left is a seeker neg deck from this board, and we're asking it for approval of the lease. I know that's been pending. They wanted it to go hand in glove with zoning. Then the issuance of the special permit and a waiver of the setback to the east. So those are the items. Since we don't have an answer from county, I can't say that you're in a procedure, if you even were so inclined, in a position procedurally to make a decision tonight anyway. So we'll get county cleared up, but then it would come back to this board for a neg deck for seeker, approval of the lease, issuance of special permit, and a waiver of the setback to the east property line. So that's where we stand. That's the project, and as abbreviated a fashion as I can do. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Council members? I don't have anybody here to speak tonight, so I think we'll be able to call the public hearing to a close.
Okay, so we will then find out with county, and I assume be back on next month. I don't know how your process works.
I'm not sure what the process is. Dan will get back to you, though. He's
Okay.
the planner right now, and he will take care of that
Okay, very good.
and walk you through the whole process.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll call that public hearing to a close. So, the consent agenda. Tonight, we have a consent agenda as part of this meeting. If any council member wishes to remove an item for discussion, please tell me now, and I will remove the item from the consent agenda, and it will be added as a separate resolution. I myself would like to remove, well, I guess we're going to be, on the tabled items, we're going to be voting on those separately anyway, correct, Madam Clerk? Okay, then we can just leave them like that. Any other items need to be removed? Okay. Then I need a motion and a second to approve the meeting agenda as presented. Councilmember Pilarski, Councilmember Kaminsky, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, we have some resolution items from the table. Resolution 2022-394, sponsored by Councilmember Nowak, Pilarski, Kaminsky, and Adamczak. Be it resolved that the individuals listed below be and hereby are transferred as indicated in the Department of Youth and Recreational Services, effective immediately.
Okay, Jill. I don't see where these are transfers. Like, are you transferring titles? Some of them might be, but not all of them. First one, recreation attendant, regular part-time to recreation instructor, okay. But then there's a regular part-time soccer director. That's not a transfer. And then learn to skate director. Are you doing learn to skate now?
Yep.
It's just what, roller hockey skating, or what kind of skating?
Well, we're going to be doing it again in the fall.
So it's not now?
Correct.
So that's why I'm wondering why some of these things we are approving now instead of waiting till before, or,
Well, correct, because of, as was said before, because of what came up with the resolution when the certain departments were raised to $17 an hour, so it became an issue that, needed to be addressed with current staff as well as staff that we were hiring.
has anybody quit yet?
Yes.
How many?
We've had about, I think, 9 lifeguards quit. We've had 3 camp, including yesterday, quit, and we've had a couple kids no-show.
So 9 lifeguards, but we only actually,
Yes.
I see we have a resolution for a couple terminations, 4, I believe.
Correct. Some of them, we were gonna be hired that we just took off resolutions. Like, as they were going to be working for us, they didn't even start working.
And but why are you terminating them if they wanted to work?
They didn't wanna work. That's why we wouldn't end up terminating them, because they didn't even start work for us.
Okay,
They were in the class, they said they were gonna work for us, and then they told us they'd found work elsewhere.
and I guess my other question is, well, first of all, they're not all transfers, though. So I think that the title of the resolution is kind of
Correct,
confusing.
but I didn't really know what to call it, since we don't have precedence for this. So it wouldn't be a hiring resolution or anything like that. So we just put them on transfers.
Okay, and I guess my other question is, as I'm looking here tonight, I'm looking right at a sign that says, "Morale Matters." These are our full-time workers, our union workers.
Who I have nothing to do with what happens
No,
with
but
them.
you want to put seasonal and part-time, give them increases in salary before they even
As
start.
other departments were given at the last meeting.
Well, 2, and there were
Correct.
extenuating circumstances. They had a lot less employees than you're asking for. They were only, I believe, 10 seasonal in sanitation, and the same thing for the parks.
Correct. I am the largest department with over 150.
Right, but there's also other
part-time.
departments then, too. And we also have to take into consideration our full-time union employees that aren't getting raises.
Correct, but again, this is in my budget, so I'm not asking for any more funds, so it wouldn't be taking.
But you're
from
not
anybody.
looking at the whole picture. I mean, just last month, we had 3 meetings of residents who were outraged at the increase in their assessment. So we, as a board, have to make sure that we have enough money carried into the fund balance for next year. Doesn't mean we have to use it all. So it would behoove us to try not to use this extra money you have in your budget and carry it over to next year for raises for them.
That's correct, but the 1% that my department makes of the budget, probably cutting from that, as opposed to bigger departments that make up a larger percentage, is probably gonna make more of a difference. And again, it's in my budget, so I'm not asking for any funds, and as I said in my email, on the 14th, I'll still be giving back funds at the end of the year.
But just because it's in your budget, it's not personally yours, it's the taxpayers. And they have made it very clear to this town board that we are to be very careful with how we're spending. And there was just an article from Kevin Hardwick today that we have to be careful as town boards in order to keep spending down, because our sales tax revenue is going to be down for the end of this year. So all those taken into consideration,
Correct.
I really have a problem with these increases. Not everybody, but some of these increases now.
And as I said, nobody's going above a $1 increase, not as opposed to the $3 increase that was given to the other individuals.
We have other departments, though, so
Correct, but
what you're trying to do is
I'm not the
then,
department head for any other department, so I'm just speaking about
right.
my
So I
department.
think that it's just not going to be good for this board, because we're going to be in a bad position for next year's budget, trying to keep expenses down.
Correct, but as I said, again, in the email, when you do it for one group in a town or in an organization, that's gonna really cause a morale problem for other groups, and it's gonna have a ripple effect, and that's what it did. So I'm just addressing that ripple effect in my department, which is what I'm
But there
here to
are
do.
some that have been more than $1. Actually, there's a rec attendant, regular part-time, that just started in 2021 that you want to increase from $14 to $16 an hour. So that's,
They may have become a lifeguard. There might be special circumstances where they took a different position, or they got they might have received an upgrade because they're taking a camp director position, because we actually had 2 camp directors quit as well.
no, there's another one I'm looking at that's $1.50 more an hour, and it doesn't look like she's changing her title at all. Just rec instructor.
I mean, the amount of money that's gonna amount to is probably under $100, so.
No, but your whole
Right, the
proposal
ones
is gonna be a
you're-
lot more
you're
than that.
pinpointing the very few, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the problem I have, is you just hired these people. Well, some of them have been here a while, and we already put a raise in for them for this year in your budget.
No, actually, we didn't, because when I presented my budget, we did not put increases.
Yes, we did. Brian Kraus just put
The
a
only
whole.
one that went up was when we changed the minimum wage to 14, but anybody I asked that was over 14 that was, had been a director, I don't believe was audited.
Yeah, Brian Kraus put a whole list together for us. So you had
Okay.
asked for quite a few raises, and we put them in the budget. Quite a few. Rec instructors,
And again, some of those are because they were changing duties, but,
no.
and as I stated before, this is in response to, the other resolution that went through.
I don't think that's a good enough reason, I'm sorry, but, every department, it's a different circumstance, and our union employees here today haven't gotten a raise in several years. So I just can't vote yes on these resolutions. And I did ask you why, I did have another question.
Sure.
I had told you not to put the resolution in that was my name. There's two identical resolutions, Resolution 2022-394 and 395. Now,
Correct, those are hiring resolutions that
Okay,
the
but-
guards, correct.
no, they're transfers. They're both exactly the same.
That could have been a miscommunication with that, because those are identical resolutions.
They
I'm
are.
not sure why they both went in. But the hiring resolutions were the only two that were supposed to go in with your and Councilmember Jazinski's name on
But
them.
I told you not to put the hiring resolutions in.
Well, they had to go in because they had to be hired. I mean, if we,
But I said no to if you wanted to put somebody else's name on a resolution, that's fine, but you put two resolutions in after Michael
Well-
Jazinski and I said no
well,
to
Michael
those.
Jazinski actually never personally said no to me.
Yes, I
actually-
talked to him again, he did, after you.
Correct.
I-
He didn't respond to the emails I sent, and he didn't respond to the phone calls after we had a conversation that he was in favor of all them. He told me they were reasonable, and he understood. And then I never spoke to him again after that, so.
So I did, and he didn't. So what it is you're putting in two same resolutions, pretty much.
Well, no, it's not the same. One has the current wages, and the other one has the increases. And again, they had to be hired because we would have had to shut the pool down, which now we had to become creative with how to pay these guards, because we would have had to shut the pool down till this meeting.
And then there's also the one, youth and rec hiring.
Correct.
But my name's still there. I said no to that. And you still
Correct.
submitted
You
it.
actually said no. If you read your exact email, you said that you hadn't discussed increases, so you said no to.
No to hire, the hiring and the transfer
Right,
resolutions.
in regards to the increases, was what the email said
No.
exactly.
I said I was okay with the others, except for the hiring and transfer resolutions.
In regards to increases. So I took it as it was in regards to anything that had an increase on it.
I didn't
So
say that, just the hiring
Okay.
and the transfer resolutions. I could find it probably right now if you'd
You
like me
could,
to.
and it did say in reference to the increases.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, two resolutions shouldn't have gone in, just one then, for each, whatever you wanted to do. I just didn't want my name on there, and it's still here.
On
So
the
it's-
ones that didn't include increases, and were just for hiring.
No, Jill, give me a minute and I'll pull it up, okay? And you can
The
hear what I
resol-
said.
The resolutions?
No, my email to you.
Okay.
You're playing on words here, and I specifically said no when your staff member asked, and I said, I'm fine on all the other resolutions,
Correct. Councilmember Juzinski, my first chair again, said yes, so.
and then I talked to him and he said no, and
Correct. But
please relay that.
I never personally heard that from him, so.
No, but I was speaking on him, I had talked to him about it, and he asked me to relay that.
Well, again, I didn't hear it personally, so.
Okay, so let me, quickly, I'm almost there, I'm trying to find it.
Councilmember Nowak had a statement he wanted to make.
Just wait 1 second. to look in my sent folder. Actually, it was, okay, I know how to read.
If I could address something while you're looking,
Mhm.
that I believe Vicky brought up last time about them getting raises before they even start and how nobody else has done that. I'd just like to address that, again, it was initiated by something that had happened with a resolution for other departments. So say if your child was working at McDonald's and they make the hamburgers and somebody else makes the fries, if the fry people got a raise and the hamburger people didn't, they'd probably have issue with it. So that's really why, it's being done.
You're supposed to be
So-
addressing the board. Okay, here's my email. I mean, I can send it to the town clerk to put it up here. I address Angela. You have my approval on all resolutions except the hiring and transfer resolutions.
In regards to the increases, right?
No, it doesn't say that.
Does it say the word increases?
I'd like to call the
after?
question for a
No.
vote.
So what I'm saying is, I did not approve my name to be on any of these resolutions, yet you still continue to submit them. And it's
For-
confusing.
For hiring for, again, the same wages, it said increases right after that. If you-
Joe, no, okay? That's not what it was. Councilmember,
I'd like to call the question for a vote.
I'm not done yet, though. I mean, that's not fair to me, that we're not here, I don't stop you when you're talking about something.
You just recognized me, and I just
Well,
expressed what I would like the board to
Okay,
consider to do
So you can
is all.
express it, but I still am not done here because now, you interrupted me and I still had another point to make with this.
Well, how long are we gonna go on with this?
So we have two resolutions, almost, I think they're exactly alike, so.
Except for the wages.
Resolution 394, 2022 394, and Resolution 395 are exactly alike.
If those were the transfers as I stated, those might have just been put in, that might have just been put in twice by mistake.
So that's what I'm trying to get the point across to the board, is there's two exact same resolutions. So, Madam Clerk, do you want to go ahead and anybody else on the question? All in favor? I guess we should probably do a roll call. This is for 394, Resolution 2022-394.
And that one, the amendment.
Madam Clerk?
Roll call?
Yes.
Councilmember Adamzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammer? Councilmember Kaminsky? Councilmember Nowak?
Yes.
Supervisor Benchkowski?
No.
Resolution 394 has passed.
Okay, so then we have 395.
Resolution 2022-395 is sponsored by Supervisor Benchkowski, seconded by Councilmember Jazinski, that the individuals listed below be and hereby are transferred as indicated in the Department of Youth and Recreation Services effective immediately.
Anybody else on the question? All in favor? Could we
Aye.
probably have to do a roll call on this one, too?
Councilmember Adamzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammer? Councilmember Kaminsky?
Yes.
Councilmember Nowak?
No.
Supervisor Benchkowski?
Yes.
Motion is passed. Resolution 2022-396 is sponsored by council members Nowak, Pilarski, Kaminsky, and Adamzak. The individuals listed below being hereby are hired as indicated in the Department of Youth and Recreational Services effective immediately.
On the question? Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Adamzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammer? Councilmember Kaminsky?
Yes.
Councilmember Nowak?
Yes.
Supervisor Benchkowski?
No.
Resolution is passed. Resolution 2022-397 is sponsored by Supervisor Benchkowski, seconded by Councilmember Jazinski. Albeit resolved, the individuals listed below be and hereby are hired as indicated in the Department of Youth and Recreational Services, effective immediately.
On the question, it's got competing names and competing wages with the prior resolution, so I'll be voting no.
Okay, Madam Clerk, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Adamzak? Councilmember Adamzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammer? Councilmember Kaminsky? Councilmember Brian Nowak?
No.
Supervisor Benchkowski?
Yes.
Resolution 397 has passed. Resolution 5 is 2022-398 is sponsored by Councilmembers Nowak, Pilarski, Kaminsky, and Adamzak, whereas the Youth and Recreational Services Department is in need of hiring of lifeguards for the summer of 2022 season. Based on the above, the town board hereby exempts the following position and individuals from the town residency requirement and hereby appoints them to the following respective position effective immediately.
Anybody on the question? I do want to make a point that the last meeting, this exact same resolution went in with this hiring of this one person on it, and it was passed. So tonight we're
With
voting...
a different wage.
Yeah, so tonight we're voting to change her wage already. So could we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Adamzak?
No.
Councilmember Hammer? Councilmember Kaminsky?
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Nowak?
Yes.
Supervisor Benchkowski?
No.
Resolution is defeated. That is all of our tabled items. We will now move on to our regular consent agenda items. I have a motion by Supervisor Benchkowski and a second by Councilmember Hammer to approve all items on the consent agenda, including the meeting minutes of June 29th and resolution items 2022-406 through 415. I need a roll call vote to approve all items on the consent agenda. Councilmember Adamzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammer? Yes. Councilmember Kaminsky?
Yes.
Councilmember Nowak?
Yes.
Supervisor Benchkowski?
Yes.
All items on the consent agenda have passed. We do have some other items that were added in after the deadline, so I need a motion and a second to waive the rules to include the following resolution items 2022-416, 417, and 418. Councilmember Hammer, second by Supervisor Benchkowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Resolution 2022-416 is sponsored by Councilmember Nowak, seconded by Councilmember Hammer. The Town of Cheektowaga has approved Resolution 2018-290, dated May 22nd, 2018, an agreement with Belmont Housing Resources for Western New York DBA New Opportunities for the rehabilitation and sale of 112 Horner Avenue. Federal Neighborhood Stabilization Program grant funds from New York State Housing Finance Authority were used. A requirement for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program is that the Town of Cheektowaga agree to establish certain restrictions. Director of Community Development has drafted a declaration of land use restrictive covenant. The supervisor being hereby is authorized and directed to execute this declaration of land restrictive covenant for the property located at 112 Horner Avenue, Cheektowaga, New York, 14211.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-417 is sponsored by Councilmember Kaminsky, seconded by Councilmember Nowak. It is in order that bids be advertised for the Phase 8 of cleaning, televising, and rehabilitation of sanitary sewer facilities through cured-in-place pipe for sewer sheds 9 and 10. That's bid number 2022-20 in the town of Cheektowaga, and Phase 2 of the work for the village of Sloan. The engineering department has completed preparation of bid specifications. The sealed bids will be received on the 17th day of August 2022 at 11 a.m. at a public bid opening held in the council chambers in the town of Cheektowaga.
On the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-418 is sponsored by Supervisor Benchkowski, seconded by Councilmember Nowak. The street lighting within the town of Cheektowaga is outdated and is in need of updating to more energy efficient technology. Article 9 of the New York State Energy Law permits municipalities to enter into energy performance contracts in which a person/company agrees to install, maintain, or manage energy systems in exchange for the portion of the energy savings or revenue. A qualifications-based request for proposal for an energy performance contract has been prepared. This town board hereby issues the attached qualifications-based RFP for an energy performance contractor to assist the town with the conversion of the street lights to energy-efficient light emitting diode lighting. Proposals will be received by the town clerk no later than August 17th, 2022 at 11 a.m. in the Cheektowaga Town Hall.
On the question? I do want to thank you, Pat. Finally, we're getting that going, so thank you very much to you and your staff. I know they've been working real hard on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That is the end of our resolution items. The town clerk's office did receive some departmental communications. We got the Conservation Advisory Council meeting minutes of June 2nd, and we received the Traffic Safety Commission meeting minutes of June 21st, as well as a general communication for a notice of appearance.
Okay, I don't have any comments. Any council members? Okay, with that being said, we'll move on to the public comment period. This is an opportunity for residents to comment on matters involving Cheektowaga. The public comment period should last 15 minutes maximum. Each speaker may speak only once, and each speaker will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes speaking time. Okay, Reverend Rick Massano.
It's obvious that the assessment thing is water under the bridge, but many of us have challenged it, and only one person of all the people I've talked to who have challenged it had any reduction in their assessments. We've done all that work, and we're seniors, so we don't know how to do this stuff. So we had to go to other people to help us with it. We put it in, and we all got, everybody I talked to except for one, got denied. I know it's a state thing, and since our town board, I don't know if you can make a resolution or talk to Mr. Kennedy or Monica Wallace to find out if that could be made a lot simpler to do a challenge on our assessments than the way it is now. I don't know what they were looking for. We did everything I thought we were supposed to do. We had people helping us, and still we got nothing. So I would hope that the next time, I hope we don't have another next time, but if there is another next time, that it'd be a lot easier for our seniors to challenge these assessments. The other thing is, it's good to see some people want to start bringing something into Harlem Road. And again, we've talked about this many times, and it sickens me going down Harlem Road near Cleveland Drive to see that old nursing home just rotting there. Can anything be done to get rid of that thing? That's the question.
Thank you. Okay, next is Don Flipsky.
Okay, I have three short things. First one, I think it's really shady when you hire somebody and then you increase the wages before they're really hired. I just find that shady, and I talked with Brian and Jerry outside about that. I thought that. Second thing, Constance Lane, paving job. I noticed on Facebook in one of the Cheektowaga community pages that it's not a very good job. I went there myself and looked at it. It's a crappy job. Who from this town, have any of you people, I know Christine is somewhere, I don't know, studying for a colonoscopy maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
She.
Don, I'm going to ask it. That's
Okay,
just-
she's not, there she is.
There she is. That's
It's
just-
disrespectful when people are not
We
on.
cannot do
She should
that.
be-
Excuse me, Dawn, I'm right here.
I don't know her situation, no, I don't.
So then mind your business, Dawn.
Okay, thank you, the bad,
Yeah.
the bad job.
Mind your business, Dawn.
Any one of you gone to look at that?
Yes,
Has any
we're aware
town
of that.
representative gone? It's really crappy, oh, I didn't mean that. It's
Oh,
a
look
bad
at you.
job.
Ooh.
And I don't think we should pay as taxpayers for a bad job. I think that the company that's doing that job should pay
That's
for
us,
it.
our employees. We did.
I don't-
Pat Bowen,
the
our town
employees did
engineer.
it?
Yes.
They're doing the paving?
Yes.
Okay, well, it's a bad job.
Okay. Paul Weiss.
Thank you. I'd first respectfully request that the 3-minute time limit be waived, although I will try to stay to that very strictly.
Paul, we can't waive it. I'm sorry. We have other speakers tonight
Okay, very
unless
good.
somebody wants to
Paul
do
Weiss, I'm
anything.
the attorney for the TCEA. The town of Cheektowaga is a great town. The town of Cheektowaga is a great town. It's a great town because of its workers. That is why it is a great town. They persevere in the face of a toxic work environment on 2 levels. One, the bullying by Deputy Superintendent Charlie Markell. And,
Paul,
the individual.
Paul, you're out of order. We cannot take any attacks on any of our employees, okay? So you're going to have to stick to a generalized
And I
statement.
would ask that this board make sure that their employees are not attacked as well. So, with that being said, there's a deputy superintendent who directed individual workers to do work on private property. We don't know that because of our workers, because they're afraid to come forward and tell us that. We know that because of photographs taken by members of the public. We got these pictures from members of the public. And the first thing, as the deputy superintendent and the superintendent should know, is that New York State Constitution, Article 8, Section 1, prohibits the use of town workers to do work on private property. In addition, it is not because Paul Weiss, as an attorney, has said that that is not proper. The New York State Comptroller has opined that there is no authorization in law for the use of the town highway department employees to perform non-municipal work on private property for the benefit of property owner. Therefore, the New York State Comptroller has already ruled. I have provided those documents to your town attorney. What do we know? We know in 2020 these pictures were taken. There was work done, maintenance work done on a flagpole at 7-Eleven, Oregon. These are town truck 50, town truck 46, not because these people came forward, but because a member of the public took these pictures. That is in a violation, according to the New York State Comptroller, of the New York State Constitution. Here we have, clearly, truck 50, this is a deceased member, formerly a member that was one of our workers. That's in 2020. What happens? 2022, we have our truck there again, doing work on this. This is 46, this is 50. This is at Oregon. We have our workers here doing work. What are they doing?
Paul, your time is up.
I would ask. Well, yeah, let me stop you, Paul. If anybody else has got any objection, I think we need to hear this due to the fact it was on a 5, 5:30, and 6 o'clock news tonight. And furthermore, too much of this stuff has been buried, and I commend the people that finally came forward and tried to keep themselves out of trouble and do what's right for the taxpayers. This is taxpayers' money that's been wasted for years. I can use an example, the pond that was filled in at Creekside by a town crew. This goes on and on and on, and it has been covered up for years. It's about time it's coming out in the public eye. This is all your tax money and mine.
So you're taking up the public's time.
I would
period,
merely
just so you know.
ask that this town board,
No.
when it was sworn in, it made a oath.
Do I have a second in order to allow Paul to speak? It sounds like Jerry made a first.
I'll second.
Okay, Councilmember, how long do you want to give Paul to speak? We have
Additional-
several other,
Additional 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. This is, again, not because our people came forward, but because members of the public. We have a video, we have a response that was on WGRZ today that was purported to be from, which was reported that from the highway superintendent, he'll do this work for any resident who asks. New York State Constitution, Article 8, subsection 1, prohibits that. That is unconstitutional. That elected official took an oath when he entered office to uphold the U.S. Constitution and the New York State Constitution. Every member of this board is doing their best, and I would ask that you abide by the oath that you took, which is to uphold the New York State Constitution, which prohibits this type of work. Also, Civil Service Law, Section 75, prohibits retaliation against any member. I am here speaking for every member of the union, and I am asking you that tomorrow, when some deputy superintendent or a superintendent walks in, that they do not retaliate against any member. I am asking you under
Paul,
Civil
you're
Service
crossing the line. Did you, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that, or remind you, that there is a PERB mediation scheduled on the 19th.
That has nothing to do
well, it
with
is.
the misuse of public funds.
You're here for the union,
I
so
am here
this is
for-
kind of crossing the line.
No, I'm not talking about a PERB mediation.
No,
I am talking about the New York State Comptroller has indicated as what would be violative of the New York State Constitution. That's what I'm here talking about. I ask you that you uphold and keep the promise that you made to uphold the New York State Constitution, and that you hold those individuals who also made that oath, that they abide by their oath and keep their promise. Thank you very much, and thank you for the extra time.
So, next speaker is Ray Jablonski.
My name is Ray Jablonski. I'm the Vice President of TCA Union. And what I'd like to say is, again, without this union, this town would not function. I'm hearing that we're being treated equally with the other unions, and there's 4 other unions that settled their contract. We are not being treated equal. We are not being offered the same percentages. I think we at least should get that. And dollar for dollar, we're not getting that even with the percentages you're offering. I guess our union doesn't understand why. Again, we always get kicked around and we're not being treated equally. We need to know. We need to know. Again, we're being blamed for Juneteenth. Why? And everybody's saying it's a contractual thing on the board. 4 other unions settled their contracts after the resolution that said that Juneteenth was a federal holiday. Why didn't they settle that Juneteenth with the other unions? There's a lot of questions that we need to be answered so we know that we're looked at as equals to these other unions in this town, and we make this town go. Sanitation never had a day off during COVID. Yes, highway had a couple weeks off because the board or somebody said that we needed to separate. So they gave us a week off, a week on, a week off. But we were scheduled to come in if we were called in. So technically, we couldn't go on vacation or anything. So and everybody either worked at home during COVID or came to work every day. And nobody's being recognized for that, for letting this town keep functioning. So please, think of what you're doing to this TCA union, because they deserve something after over 2.5 years of not getting a contract. Thank you.
Okay. Rich L.
Came here tonight with a question in mind, but I see with the assessment stuff that our tax dollars are getting put to good work. Thank you. I came here tonight because I can speak freely, because the assessment review board is over and I don't have to worry about any kind of repercussion. I want to know why the only demographic on the review board is old white ladies. Where's the makeup of the town? Where is the difference? Right now, I walked in here because I stood at this very podium and I gave my appeal, and not one of them, like, I just didn't feel like it mattered. And I wanted to come here and do it in person because I wanted them to look me in the face before they stole from me, because that's the way I view it. So yeah, that is my deal. So I want to know what the town's plan is to get diversity on the assessment review board, so I don't have to come back here again. Thank you.
The time is up. Does anybody want to make a motion to extend it for the last speaker, Linda H.? Yeah. No, I mean, I'd make a motion, give you an extra 3 minutes and, okay, second. So, yes, go ahead, Linda, and yeah, we're just running a little over.
I'm actually here for a completely different reason. I live on Briarcliff Road, not too far from that nursing home. And the reason I'm here is the house next door to me was recently sold to new owners. I believe the male owner of this house has something to do with construction, all right? I can't tell. They're young people. In May, he moved in an open top, and I'm gonna use the wrong technical words, but it's a construction dumpster that is on wheels. It has a license plate, but it has no covering on the top of it. It has been sitting outside my bedroom window since May. I finally, because of the bugs that it attracts when it rains, and the fact that I can't even open my bedroom windows with this stuff in it, I called enforcement, code enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I finally talked to Peter today, which I'm sorry, I got really upset today. And he told me there's nothing that can be done.
He did?
Yeah, so what I said, because I was being a little spoiled brat here, I said, that's fine, I'm calling the assessor. I want my assessment reduced to land value only, because I couldn't sell this house with that thing sitting there if my life depended on it. Nobody wants to live with a big black, open top, no cover, dumpster thing that you look out outside your window. So in my fit of anger, I also took pictures in case anybody wants to see.
Yes, please, yes.
And I want to add, coincidentally, it rained tonight. So now gonna have bugs again. So that means I can't use my outdoor patio either. So
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I mean, I'll be happy to show you all the
Yeah, is there any
pictures.
way that I could give you my card and you could try to email it?
Yeah,
And
I
I'll,
can do that,
I can pass it up.
but I really want.
I think I have a card.
It's all I'm asking.
Yes, I need,
If you're doing work, maybe if you're doing work in the house, do your work, take it away, and leave it gone till you're doing work again. It doesn't need to park there for months at a time, collecting stuff.
here you go. Here's my email, and I will pass that along to the entire board and to code enforcement.
Okay, and I'll give you.
Yes, that's what I wanted, yes, thank you very much. Okay, I'll call that public comment period to a close. Just wanted to write that down. And I need a motion to adjourn. Councilmember Hammer, seconded by Councilmember Kaminsky. We're adjourned.